Tamzin Outhwaite admits she's broken. After seeing footage of Ukraine Children's Hospital, the conflict between Russia and Ukraine has spilt over into bloodshed, and EastEnders favorite Tamzin Outhwaite could barely cast aside her horror at seeing the online footage. The 51-year-old took to Twitter tonight to vent her frustration at the war. The news comes amid reports that injured civilian soldiers in Ukraine are keen to dismiss their injuries and get back onto the front line to defend their country. Vladimir Putin's troops rained cluster bombs down on children's schools and hospitals, and a baby was born in a hospital basement, while soldiers opened fire outside. Hundreds of Ukraine's civilians, including children, have been killed in the short few days since the conflict began, after getting caught in the crossfire. Though Tamzin has had experience enacting tough scenes relating to international conflict after starring in Foyle's War, these real-life situations have left her overwhelmed. Many of her fans responded to her Twitter posts regarding the scenes to share similar feelings of horror. Absolutely horrific, dads leaving their small children not knowing if they will ever see them again, at Huge Lunchbox wrote in the comments section. Watched it. Heartbreaking. Heaven knows how they're managing to keep going, at Nomadic Writer sympathized in response. Also couldn't help but feel for the mother whose young son is going through chemo. Meanwhile, they're fearing for their very existence. Meanwhile, This Morning and Dancing on Ice host Holly Willoughby, whose husband Dan Baldwin is Tamzin's cousin, also shared Tamzin's feelings of grief, having admitted she is heartbroken by the prospect of having to explain the brutality of the war to her young children. Those presenting on Sky seem to be equally sensitive, with Sky Sports News host Hayley McQueen admitting to having become highly emotional on air. As the coverage included children struggling in Ukraine, her thoughts turned to her own child, daughter Ayla. I've covered many tragic stories on Sky Sports over the years and pride myself on remaining professional and keeping emotions in check, but for some reason yesterday really got to me, she admitted on an Instagram post. Since becoming a mother, I guess I think about the world differently and have definitely become a lot more sensitive. Anyhow, I got a bit upset on air briefly. I'd just been watching my Sky News colleagues reporting from Kyiv. It was images of children escaping Ukraine. Fathers saying goodbye to their children. One little girl in particular was clutching a teddy bear under each arm, all wrapped up in a snowsuit and hat just like my Ayla. I'm a little embarrassed it got to me whilst on air, but I couldn't get the thoughts out of my head, she admitted. I know we have to remain impartial as journalists, but I wore colors as a little something to let Ukrainians, my Ukrainian friends and work colleagues know I am thinking of them, standing in solidarity in the darkest of times.